everybody. Ollie here for the weekly news recap for the 18th to the 24th of December 2023. Let's get into it. So, apologies if I'm a bit low energy today. We did a tier ranking thing yesterday and really took a lot out of it. Very tired. Anyway, it being so close to Christmas and a lot of the games industry having wound down for the end of the year, there's obviously not a whole lot for us to talk about. However, Sega did release some new information around their push to bring back some of their old IP, so Crazy Taxi, Golden Axe, Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, Streets of Rage. That was shown off during Game Awards. Very quick sort of collage, a lot of what they're going for. So they have this slide from one of their latest investor presentations. I appreciate hard to read, and I think Gematsu also knew it was kind of hard to read, so they have a quick rundown of what is said on each slide. Management meeting 2023, yes, so it was like an investor kind of thing. Anyway, Crazy Taxi, innovative and fresh style driving action. Cheerful feeling of freedom, crossed with the fusion of nature and the city, peel out the new stage of Crazy City. Okay, so they're going for like a Burnout Paradise type feel for it, but like kind of zany, a little bit over the top kind of action. You can see like there's somebody in the Jeep that's getting rammed into, has gone flying out of the Jeep and stuff like that. So they're clearly going for, very over the top kind of stuff. But like a kind of cheerful vibe to it. So unlike Burnout Paradise's somewhat edgy feel, or even the Saints Row kind of slapstick comedy, but still somewhat violent. I think they're going for more of like a cartoonish. People are just kind of having fun in this. Golden Axe. Warriors arise to subdue the demons, defeat your enemies with a variety of attacks with swords and magic. The legendary story about the battle axe Golden Axe is about to begin. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty standard brawler. Fair. What Golden Axe was, and very much kind of like one of the very earliest examples of your standard brawler with different character types, and each character does something a little bit different. Cool, not an issue with that at all. Jet Set Radio, counterculture crossed with Tokyo streets, open world. Experience the rebellion movement that feels free in a suffocating city. Make friends, increase your fans, and create a movement. So again, like a big open, big map for you to play around on, doing your tricks, doing graffiti, making your crew stand out, and all that kind of stuff. It feels very much like what Bomb Rush Cyberpunk has done recently, and it seems like they're going to take that template and just reapply Jet Set Radio to it. And they're not going to have to try very hard, because Bomb Rush already was very Jet Set Radio. Shinobi, slay the enemies in the silence of the moment. Run through the world of Shinobi full of monsters and ninja action. Grab word I probably can't pronounce properly, Oborozuki, the legendary sword, and slay evil once more. Your clan and the world are counting on you. I think they're really going to be leaning into the art style of Shinobi, and possibly playing it a bit more like Strider might be going for, because there's a lot of, or at least it feels like they're going for a bit more of a faster paced game. Shinobi game as well. The Shinobi games were still kind of fast paced. They weren't quite the kind of pace Strider put up. But it'll be interesting, and the art style is amazing. That translates well into the actual game. Streets of Rage Revolution, beloved side-scrolling beat-em-up action series. Take control of one of the ex-officers and make the city a place where people no longer have to walk the streets of Rage. Doesn't really tell you a whole lot about what they're going for here, but I guess it's an update for Streets of Rage, and it looks like they're using Streets of Rage 4's font. Streets of Rage 4 wasn't made by Sega, it was outsourced. And it was done very, very well. I think this is still going to be done internally, so it would have been nice if they had given it to the people who did Streets of Rage 4, .emu. Because they do good shit. They do some really good stuff. Hopefully this translates well. They're going for a kind of sort of a 2D, 3D kind of feel to it. I'm not sure how I feel about that. As for release dates, we've none. We've 20XX. Could be whenever. Streets of Rage doesn't even have 20XX, so who knows? Anyway, that's your updates for this week. Not a whole lot, as I said. Fortunately, though, it's now time to talk about the worst parts of video games. Video game industry. So there were no new releases worth talking about, unless you like Steam porn games. Maybe you do. That's kind of all that was really released this week. A whole lot of industry bullshit going on though. So Insomniac suffered a leak this week. So it was exposed like the kind of games that they were going to be working on for the next forever, by the looks of things. Pretty much going to become the Marvel developer for the next while, as well as a new Ratchet and Clank, and that's kind of it. Also, a lot of developer information was leaked. So a lot of personal information about the people who actually work on the game. So obviously that is not great. We won't really be covering any of the Marvel stuff or the developer information stuff because I don't want to go to prison. But some stuff that did come out, and it's a lot, has to do with some of the presentations that Insomniac gave to Sony higher ups. A lot of this is speculative. It's not clear if Sony took any of it on board. I doubt it. But I just kind of think it was kind of interesting because they're highlighting things that are common sense and should be done and were being done in the PS1, PS2, early PS3 era before Sony changed headquarters and went to the US and fucked everything up. Anyway, after the recent ransomware attack on Insomniac Games, PlayStation Studios might turn to making more mid-sized games to plug the gaps in schedules. Now that's not particularly clear. This is just something Insomniac were pushing for, and we're kind of highlighting things like the Miles Morales game, the between Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 stopgap, so that there wasn't such a huge gap between the two Spider-Man's games. Insomniac highlighted the financial implications of releasing smaller games like Miles Morales. It was determined that you could push out 2 or 3 mid-sized games that had comparable performance to AAA games for the budget of a single AAA. The presentation mentions that one AAA game can fund up to 3 mid-sized games, and in the time it takes to release a big-budget blockbuster, studio can churn out 2 smaller games back-to-back. Prospects of spending $300 million, which is already fucking ridiculous. 3 mid-sized games versus 1 is very intriguing, etc., etc. And Insomniac do, at least from the leak, it does seem like they're going to be making a Venom game, which is going to act like Miles Morales as a in-between smaller game before Spider-Man 3, or Wolverine. Case may be. Maybe they'll have some in-between game from Wolverine and the X-Men and so on. It's just, this is obvious, and I don't know why Sony needed to have a presentation to tell them. Like, of course you should do it. This makes complete sense. You're not having to put all your eggs in one basket for $300 million. Like, it obviously makes sense that they're going to play it safe because the budget is so enormous. A lot of that is salary and all the things that go with maintaining a development team of that size. HR, IT, management, all of that stuff. Paying everybody the hours, the incredible amount of hours it takes to make those kind of games. For such a high budget and for such high quality, fidelity AAA games, that's a lot of money. It would make sense to mitigate that by making smaller games. Games do not need to be as fucking big as Sony is making them. Additionally to that, there were talks from Sony's end of things, that, hey, we're maybe spending a bit too much on these games, so we're going to have to lay off a bunch of people right before Christmas. There's rumor that the layoffs didn't happen because of the leak, that it would look bad on Sony to be laying people off before Christmas, so they decided not to do it. Who knows? We're not really going to know if that's the case or not. Wouldn't surprise me, considering how many layoffs have happened this year in the games industry. Wouldn't shock me. The fact that the people who have made you so much money, making Spider-Man, making Horizon, making God of War, whatever it is, and you reward their good work, the fact that they've made your company so much money by firing them before Christmas. Sony are not the Sony of old. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of firing people right before Christmas, Versus Evil shuts down. Indie publisher staff laid off just weeks after leadership settled a legal dispute with parent company Tiny Build. This was announced a couple of days ago. Versus Evil announced its own closure on social media today being December 22nd. 2 days ago. Today is a sad day after 10 wonderful years, yada yada yada. Versus Evil was down. It should be pointed out Versus Evil was not shut down by their own accord. It was shut down by their parent company, Tiny Build. We talked about this last week, where Tiny Build and Versus Evil's former heads were in a legal dispute, alleging that Tiny Build did not pay them, or whatever the agreed upon thing was for the merger, and Tiny Build were was lazy, slow in paying them the money that they agreed to pay. Versus Evil was acquired by Tiny Build, and also acquired its QA studio Red Cerberus in 2021. And then earlier this month, Tiny Build reported that it would miss its revenue forecasts by about 5 million, and it also paid close to 4 million to Versus Evil for legal costs and pay outstanding and so on. So it's possible numbers do kind of add up that this lawsuit is the reason they missed their revenue forecast. And despite them being at fault, Tiny Build being at fault for not agreeing to their contract, to the agreement of, not holding to the agreement of the merger in the first place, it seems like perhaps they could not afford the merger, but they went ahead with it anyway, and then decided to stall for a month for these other people who were supposed to be paid because they agreed to it. They were now forced to do it by court, and now they're gonna shutter the company that they just acquired. Instead of, maybe firing the people who agreed to this merger when the company couldn't actually afford it. No, let's not do that. Let's fire the people who had nothing to do with the agreement whatsoever. Anyway, there are some games that are still in development with Versus Evil, and been announced that publishing of those games will now be handled by Tiny Build instead of Versus Evil. So the people who worked on that game won't be getting from it. Keep that in mind when those games are released. Okay, some somewhat good news. Bobby Kotick is fucking off forever, hopefully, from Activision Blizzard in a couple of days. Controversial, yeah, that's certainly a way to describe him. Activision Blizzard boss Bobby Kotick will depart the company on the 29th of December. It's been announced, so we knew this already. It was part of the Microsoft agreement that he would fuck off at the end of the year, and that's coming up soon. Kotick has been part of the company, he's been head of the company for 32 years. In hell. And its departure this month is not unexpected. Activision Blizzard had previously confirmed Kotick's presence only until the end of the year, etc. He describes his long-term love of games. Did that ever come across in anything related to Bobby? That he had a long-term love of games? He had a long-term love of money. I would have believed that. He literally just did a Mr. Krabs blog. to everybody, that would have been way more believable. Feels like he went on Wikipedia and went, what's an old game I can name drop here? Anyway, hopefully this is the last time we'll see this horrible picture of Bobby. But of course, it can't all be good news from Activision Blizzard. It has to be bad news too. Activision Blizzard to end hybrid work for QA employees. The ABK Workers Alliance, this is the Activision Blizzard King Union, calls the decision harmful, while the company says staffers work best in person and gives no data to support that whatsoever. Activision Blizzard ending its hybrid work model for QA staffers next month. Workers group union said the job security of many QA employees was already on shaky ground due to the announcement of hybrid work earlier this year. So they had already just announced that there would be a hybrid policy. I think in May, something like that. And now they're announcing that no, it's just going to be all in person instead. Since then, hundreds of employees have been in correspondence with the accommodation team to try to receive permanent work-from-home arrangements due to disability, financial issues, etc. Many of these requests have been outright denied, and many more have been offered in-office accommodations that do not meet the requirements, meet the needs of the employees. This has resulted in many employees being forced out of the company in a soft layoff. It is our belief that the removal of hybrid work will result in many more employees being forced out of the company and into a desperate situation. So the union is essentially alleging that this forced return to the office is being used as a set of soft layoffs, meaning that we're not laying you off. We're just going to make your job increasingly untenable to the point that you'll just quit. Save us the bother, pretty much, and we won't have to give you severance and all of that stuff to go with it. Yeah, thanks, appreciate it. It's hard to not see that that's exactly what it is. Activision, or possibly Microsoft, not wanting to be seen as laying off a bunch of people just after acquiring the company, might be pushing for this. It's also not clear if this is a Microsoft policy or if this is an Activision policy, and Microsoft is just letting them do it. We don't know. There's a statement sent back from Activision to claim that people work better in person, with no data to back it up whatsoever. They haven't had issues putting games out, and they've been working on a work from home model for years since the pandemic. Only shifted to hybrid earlier this year. No games that have been released would have been subjected to that. Where is their data coming from? Of course, they're not going to furnish anybody with that. Anyway, Firewall Studio First Contact Entertainment to shut down. So this is, again, it's not exactly a layoff. This is more of a case of we don't make enough money from VR for how much it costs to make VR games. But I kind of pointed out, or I wanted to point out this small quote within the kind of larger message that First Contact had. It was like almost 8 years of working, but the lack of support for virtual reality within the industry has eventually taken its toll. So, First Contact would have released a lot of the PSVR 2 games that Sony actually went out of their way to market. They don't really market any other ones, but they went out of their way to market some of these games. The lack of support for virtual reality within the industry has eventually taken its toll. You could literally just say the lack of support for virtual reality within Sony has really taken its toll, because they were the people that you would have expected from. The studio recently released the Sony Interactive Entertainment published it, Firewall Ultra for PlayStation VR 2 on August. We're going to be working on another game, also going to eventually be published by Sony. Sony put out the PSVR 2 this year and then promptly forgot about it. They put out one first-party game, Horizon game, and then that's it. I've seen nothing else since from them. They've partnered with other studios like First Contact to publish some games, but they've done no first-party development whatsoever. It's not... It wouldn't be surprising for First Contact to have possibly been relying on Sony to help them if they're going to be publishing this game, only to find that they weren't helped at all, and Sony just wanted the PR boost rather than having to actually do any work. Obviously we don't know that. First Contact didn't mention it really. They didn't drop any names there. I think we can read between the lines. Anyway, moving on. GamesIndustry.biz presents the year in numbers for 2023. So Games Industry does this every year. They talk about just the various numbers about the games industry. It's mostly sales and that kind of thing. The global games market value, the total box versus digital revenue, the biggest mobile games, the best-selling games, the most covered games, all that kind of stuff. So total games market value is mobile games, because it always is. Everyone sleeps on just how much money mobile games bring in. They bring in almost half, 49%, $90.4 billion US dollars, which is actually down year on year. PC and console games are up a little bit. Console games not by much. PC games by a fair bit, plus 5% is fairly significant. And browser PC games continue to plummet. So browser PC games would be stuff like Flash games, or whatever replaced Flash games, that kind of thing, stuff that you would play off your desktop that isn't specifically something you played in Steam or GOG, whatever. But totally, the games industry made $184 billion. So this is based off sources from Newzoo as of November 2023. So this doesn't include things people might have bought in December for Christmas. This is including, though, Christmas from last year. So you can take those numbers. Up 0.6% year on year, which is, margin of error is effectively the same as it was last year. Boxed versus digital. So digital is once again massively charge, I'll say, of the industry. Not many physical games are bought really anymore. 9.5 billion, down almost 4%. And digital games haven't really changed a whole lot. It's 0.8% up. 174 billion. 95% of the total market is digital games. And in PC, it's pretty much the whole thing. The whole thing is digital games. It's really only boxed products are really only making any significant impact in the console market, and even then, a lot of brick and mortar shops are going out of business. GameStop is becoming more and more Funko Pops than video games at this point. Best-selling games of the year: United States, Hogwarts. For some reason, didn't appear in anybody's top 10 game of the years or anything like that, but was one of the best-selling games. After that, Modern Warfare, not really surprising. Tears of the Kingdom. The asterisk beside Tears of the Kingdom does not include digital sales because Nintendo doesn't release that information, so Tears of the Kingdom is probably higher up. I mean, if you consider that digital makes up such a significant portion of the market, Tears of the Kingdom could easily be at the top. And then Spider-Man 2, then some more sports games, NFL, obviously, because it's the US, Call of Duty again. Mortal Kombat 1's a bit surprising. You don't usually see fighting games up in the top 10. In the UK, unsurprisingly, it's Hogwarts and what used to be known as FIFA, and again Tears of the Kingdom, but again digital versions of that. And then other than that, it is very similar. FIFA 23, last year's FIFA, COD, Spider-Man, God of War Ragnarok makes its way in the UK. Japan, you will see no Western games whatsoever, just hilarious. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom does include the digital sales for Japan for some reason. Top of the charts, followed by Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I was just going to check, are they all Nintendo first parties? Top. Almost. It's not until you hit number 7 that you get something that's not a Nintendo first party game. It's kind of insane. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, number 1. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, number 2. Pikmin 4, number 3. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is technically not Nintendo first party, but it might as well be. Never releases on Nintendo consoles. Then Mario Kart 8 at number 5. Kirby's Return to Dreamland, number 6. And then number 7, not a Nintendo games, from Konami, Momotaro Densetsu World, Chukiwaki Bodi Mortaru. I have no idea what that is, but it's really popular in Japan. Splatoon 3, Final Fantasy 16. Yay. Finally made a top 10 somewhere. And then Super Mario RPG rounds out the top 10. Metacritic's top 3 is 2 games you've heard of a lot of, 1 game you probably haven't heard of at all. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, top 96, tied with Baldur's Gate 3 at 96. And then Asgard's Wrath 2 from Sanzaru Games is at a 94. What is that? That is a VR title on the MetaQuest and is apparently incredibly good. So good that I might have to get a MetaQuest because of it. Mobile games. We don't talk a whole lot about mobile games, but it's always the same players. Tencent, ABK, NetEase. They're always at the top. MiHoYo, because of Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, they're always there. At the top publishers, the top games, a bunch of games you never heard of. Genshin Impact is obviously there, always, because it always is. Roblox, for obvious reasons. Top countries, US, because it's the richest country in the world, and then China, because China. And also for various other reasons, Asia in general. Top games publishers by worldwide downloads. A bunch of games I've never heard of. Or a bunch of publishers I haven't heard of, except Embracer. Probably the only place Embracer's making money right now. Top games by worldwide downloads. So a lot of these would be free to play things. Roblox is in there. Arena Free Fire. I have no idea what they are. There's tons of games here. I have no idea what they are. Then top countries by worldwide downloads. India at the top. Way at the top. It's not even a contest. Double the US. Almost double. Practically double the US. Then after that, they're all roughly in and around the same. US, Brazil, Indonesia. Top 23 releases in the mobile world: Monopoly Go, Honkai Star Rail, that's a Genshin thing. Whiteout Survival, what is that? Okay, no. Monster Hunter Now. don't know why Monster Hunter now is getting so much money. Like, you never need to spend money in that game. I don't get it. Anyway, and then by downloads, Monopoly Go, still at the top. Anyway, moving on. Most covered games this year: Starfield, 53,000 articles, up 410% year on year because it actually came out this year. Diablo 4, similarly, it's up 1,000%. Then Tears of the Kingdom, Fortnite, perennial kind of thing. Cyberpunk, probably because of Phantom Liberty. Spider-Man 2 because it came out this year. Final Fantasy 16, it came out this year. Minecraft, sort of a perennial thing as well. Baldur's Gate 3, had a full release this year, same. A lot of them are just because it came out. And other ones are just because it's ongoing live service thing. Elden Ring down 75%, but it's still there. Still the top 15. Most covered companies, Xbox at the top, probably because of the merger and the Game Pass and all that. PlayStation, it's market leader right now. Sense. Nintendo, it's the other company, and it still puts out really good stuff. Microsoft making a return at plus 6%, again, largely because of the merger with Activision. Sony, it's the parent company of the market leader right now, makes sense. Activision Blizzard, again, because of the merger with Microsoft, it's up 172%. Nvidia, because they're being silly bollockses this year. EA, why is that so high? What did they do this year? Anyway, Ubisoft is down because they did basically nothing this year. Epic Games, same. Down because they didn't do anything. Twitch continuing its downturn. Bethesda up a little bit, again, mostly because of Starfield. Square Enix down, put out a whole lot this year. Valve basically unchanged, and Sega down. Top 10 games on TikTok. Okay, I don't know why this is a thing, but alright. Fortnite at the top. It's not really surprising. GTA 5 is also there pretty much all the time. Roblox, a lot of these are just, you could swap this out for last year and you really wouldn't see much of it. The only differences would maybe be Spider-Man because it wasn't out last year. But otherwise, these are effectively the same. Most viewed game trailers we already knew was GTA 6, and it's not even a contest. 100 million views versus second place Modern Warfare 3, which is only at 40 million. Not even a contest there. GTA 6, I think, is the most viewed video game trailer ever right now, so that's not exactly a competition. Then after that, League of Legends, the music video. Yeah, that's fair enough. Honkai Star Rail Bailu trailer, which is a particular character. Why that got so many views. Still pervs out there, I guess. Marathon's reveal trailer. Why? Why does that have so many views? Who knows? Spider-Man's gameplay reveal, yeah, fair enough. And some more Genshin Impact. And then top YouTube influencers, who the hell knows? I don't know any. Yeah, I have no idea who any of those people are. Right, anyway, that was the year in numbers for the gamesindustry.biz. Yeah, not a whole lot happening this week, as you might imagine. It's too close to the end of the year, and most companies have closed or have significant downturn in activity because at the end of the year, and a lot of people would have taken time off. Info around the Crazy Taxi, Streets of Rage, Shinobi stuff, good to have, but those games are probably still a while off. The Insomniac leak is obviously not great for the people who work there, just because a lot of their work will have been exposed in a state that maybe they weren't ready to show it off yet. Always disappointing. And then obviously it's security concerns because a lot of their personal data has been leaked along with it. I did think, though, some of the presentations that Insomniac gave to Sony's higher-ups were kind of worth looking into because it kind of shows Sony's mindset right now, and that they have to be told basic common sense things. And Bobby Kotick fucking off, hopefully forever. We can hope. We can hope. Anyway, we're going to move on into a channel update. So this is a roadmap, effectively bingo card, for the second half of the year, and it's pretty much not going to change now. I won't be starting any new games until next year at this point. So this is more or less where it finished off. We did our tier ranking. This year, we did this yesterday, which is why I'm so fucking tired. This is how it turned out. Resi 4 at the top, Resi 4 remake at the top, followed by the Breath of the Wild, because we did a full let's play of it this year, and yeah, it's still a good game. There's a lot of Resident Evil at the at the top, at the S tier. Resi 4 remake, Breath of the Wild, Resi 2 remake, original Resident Evil 4, Monster Hunter World, which is still an excellent game, and I do need to do more of it on the channel. Final Fantasy 16, which certainly has its issues, but not enough issues for me to not think it was a great game. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is as good as everybody said it was. It's a fantastic game. And the original Dead Space still holds up really, really well. After that, in the A tier, Nemesis, Code Veronica, Honkai Star Rail, that I'm playing a lot of, that kind of stuff. All the way down at the bottom, in the D tier, Forspoken, because it's a game of two halves, really. Some stuff is really, really good, and then stuff is really, really bad. Ultimately, the bad stuff kind of wins out because you see a little bit too much of it. Strayed Lights just doesn't implement its stuff too well. Wanted Dead has a really good setting and characters, but the gameplay is awful. And Atlas Fallen is just awful in general. Anyway, this Saturday we're going to be looking ahead at 2024 and our schedule then this week. So again, as I said, we won't be starting anything new, and we finished Code Veronica this week. Anyway, schedule: Final Fantasy 3. We're going to double up on it this week. Master Detective Archives Raincoat on Wednesday. That's Fully Fables. No stream on Friday, and as I said, we'll be doing our look ahead on Saturday for 2024. We'll be back around for the weekly news recap on Sunday. That's it from me. I'm probably just going to go straight back to bed because I'm very tired. Also, I need to pee. That's why I've been moving around so much. Anyway, I'm going to head off. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good Christmas if you're celebrating tomorrow. And otherwise, I will see you on Tuesday for Final Fantasy 3. Bye-bye.